The cake knife trembled in my hand as I watched my daughter blow out her 16th birthday candles. Her friends cheered, her mother smiled proudly, and my family clapped like they always did. Perfect, rehearsed, practiced. But I wasn't looking at the candles. I was staring at her face. Her smile. Her eyes. The small, undeniable resemblance to someone who wasn't me. I'd noticed it before, years ago, but always pushed the thought aside. Love can make you blind, but it can also make you stupid. And I'd been both for 16 years. "Dad," she said, breaking my trance. "Aren't you going to cut the cake?" I blinked, forced a smile, and handed her the knife. "You go ahead, sweetheart. It's your day." As she sliced into the cake, laughter filled the room. My wife, Claire, brushed her hair back and looked at me with that same disarming warmth she'd always used to dissolve my doubts. The warmth that now felt like poison. Because tonight, that warmth would burn her world to ashes. The plan had been set for weeks. Every detail accounted for. I'd bought her the perfect gift, wrapped it in gold paper with a neat ribbon, the same way she'd wrapped my trust for years. When the moment came, I stood and raised my glass. "Before we eat," I said, "I have something special for our daughter." Claire smiled, unaware of the storm about to break. "Oh, come on, honey, you didn't need to." "I did," I interrupted. "This one's long overdue." I handed the box to my daughter. She tore the wrapping carefully, her fingers brushing the edges of the small black case inside. When she opened it, she frowned slightly. "It's a DNA kit." The room went still. My wife's face paled. My brother's smile froze halfway. My mother's eyes darted away. "Yeah," I said, letting the silence stretch until it choked the air. "I thought it'd be fun for her to learn about our family roots. You know, where she comes from." Claire tried to laugh. "That's thoughtful, I guess. But maybe not tonight." "Why not tonight?" I cut in, my voice sharp enough to slice through the tension. "I already did mine a while back. Thought we could all compare." No one spoke. Even the kids stopped whispering. My daughter looked confused. "Dad, what's going on?" I took a deep breath and looked her in the eyes. "Sweetheart, you remember that little science project we did last year? When we learned how DNA works?" She nodded slowly. "Well," I said softly, "I wanted to show you something." I pulled out an envelope from my jacket. Inside were printed results, one with my name, one with hers. I'd already seen them 100 times. Memorized every word. But reading them aloud tonight would make it real for everyone. "According to these results," I said, holding up the papers, "you and I share 0 biological markers." "Which means?" Claire shot to her feet. "Stop it," she hissed, voice trembling. "Don't do this here." "Which means," I continued, ignoring her, "I'm not your biological father." Gasps echoed through the room. My daughter's eyes filled with tears. My wife tried to move toward her, but I stepped in front. 16 years, I said, staring straight at Claire. 16 years you let me believe she was mine. 16 years you smiled, lied, and built a family on a foundation of betrayal. She shook her head, panic setting in. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I snapped. "Because the DNA doesn't lie." My brother shifted uncomfortably in his seat. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when it hit me, the deeper betrayal. They knew. Every last one of them. I turned to my mother. "You knew, didn't you?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Son, please. Don't call me that," I said. "How long?" She didn't answer, but the look on her face was enough. My brother spoke quietly. "We just didn't want to hurt you." I laughed, bitter, hollow. "Hurt me? You've been sitting at my table, playing happy family, while she's been lying in my bed with someone else's child in her arms." Claire's voice cracked. "It was one mistake. Years ago. I was lonely, you were always working." "Don't you dare make this my fault," I said, my voice shaking. "Don't you dare blame your betrayal on my effort to build this life for us." Tears streamed down her cheeks. He didn't want to be involved. I thought. I thought it didn't matter. You loved her like your own. I did, I whispered. More than my own life. My daughter's sobs filled the silence. I turned to her, my chest tightening. Sweetheart, none of this is your fault. You didn't ask for this. But I can't keep living a lie. Claire reached out, desperate. Please, don't do this. We can fix this. We can go to therapy, talk about it. There's nothing to fix, I said coldly. I already filed for divorce. And as of tomorrow, you'll have everything you need to start over, with him. She froze. With who? I smiled, though it felt more like a grimace. You really don't remember, do you? The man you had the affair with. The one you swore you barely knew. Turns out, he's been closer than you think. My brother's face drained of color. Claire's eyes widened. She turned toward him. No, she whispered. He looked at me, pale, speechless. I nodded slowly. Congratulations. You've both been keeping the secret so long you probably convinced yourselves it never happened. The room erupted. My mother cried out, my daughter ran upstairs, and Claire collapsed into a chair, her face buried in her hands. I stood there, calm for the first time in years. The chaos around me was almost peaceful. I'd spent half my life in the dark, and now the light was brutal, but cleansing. I picked up my coat and turned toward the door. You all deserve each other, I said quietly. But you'll never deserve her. As I stepped outside, the winter air hit me like ice. My hands shook, but it wasn't from the cold. 16 years of lies. 16 years of building a life around people who smiled while they buried knives in my back. But tonight, I'd taken it all back. The truth, the control, the dignity they thought they'd stolen. Behind me, I could still hear Claire's sobs and my mother's broken voice. But I didn't look back. Because for the first time in 16 years, I was finally free.